Well, hi guys, Savage Hydra here, Josh, back for episode 2 of Dark Souls, and today I'm basically just going to be going around this sort of little area and onwards to the next area the game I want to go to. So a little bit of exploring down here. We got someone inside here. No response, she cannot speak. And this is basically a firekeeper, so we can this is where we can go to upgrade our Estus flasks, but we need a firekeeper soul in order to do so. Talking, and she cannot speak, so we'll just leave. There's also some stairs down here, but we don't want to go here yet. There are certain things you can do in the early game to make it easier. That one of the things involves going down that way, but I don't want to do that. I want to just kind of play through this game from just going through where you should kind of go at each time almost. Some of it is very flexible in where you can and can't go. Again, there's one area that you don't want to go because you will die very quickly, and that is over this way. So this is kind of, if you're playing the game for the first time and not seen much in it before, going over this way kind of seems logical. It's kind of got all the gateways showing you through. But you go down here and you pretty much are going to die. So what we're going to do instead is grab a few early game items that are going to be useful for us. One of which is going to be this way. Well, all of which are going to be this way. We got some NPCs around as well. We'll talk to them. So we'll talk to this guy first.
Hello there. I believe we are not acquainted. I am Petrus of Thurland. Have you business with us? If not, I'd prefer to keep a distance, if possible.
So, many characters have multiple dialogue strings, so just keep talking to them.
I realize that I have requested that we retain our distance, but I also want you to know that it is not meant in ill will. Here, take this, as a token of peace. No, go ahead. It's for you.
So you give us a coin, so that's nice.
Oh my,
But
you
he's got more.
again. Oh, I know. How about this? I have to await my companions here anyway. So what if I were to teach you some miracles? Would that please you?
Yeah, why not?
Very well. Then first, a covenant with the gods.
So we've just joined a covenant. This covenant establishment
Now, let
here
me share
is
my
the Way of White.
Only
It gives a couple of bonuses, including lowering, I believe it lowers the chance of people invading you. But here we can learn a gesture. A lot of NPCs will give you a gesture, especially merchants. And then also look at what items he's got. So he's got a few miracles and talismans. And one thing that we will want to potentially get eventually are Force and Heal at some point. They require 12 in Faith. As you can see, the minimum requirements there on the left of the items. So required parameters, 12 in Faith, no intelligence required. But Heal and Force are both going to be useful at certain times in the game. But otherwise, there's not much else you can do for us now because we have no souls to buy things off of him. So now we're going to go up here. Nothing in there we can do with yet. But up here, we have Soul of Lost Undead. So these items, we've got humanity here. Actually, let's take a look at humanity. Toggle display. Rare tiny black sprite found on corpses. Used to gain 1 humanity and restore a large amount of HP. This black sprite is called humanity, but little is known about its true nature. If the soul is the source of all life, then what distinguishes the humanity we hold within ourselves? Really deep. But basically humanity is something you can use and equip to gain certain ability to do certain things. Here we have Soul of Lost Undead. These are items that you just use to acquire souls, but for now we're not really going to use those. But one thing we do want to take a look at is the chests that are down there. So at this point, you want to roll over here. Oh, no. Missed that roll. Please don't complain at me. I'm not very good at this game, I already explained. How do we get out of here? Am I stuck now? There we go, we're out. We're good. So just run back up here. I might try and do a running jump instead. Yeah, my Dark Souls parkour is definitely not of the best quality. But we can jump over here and drop down here and grab some items out of these chests. So we have cracked red eye orb. Those are used as online items for, I believe they're for invading other people. There's Morning Star and a talisman, so let's look at Morning Star. Morning Star, we have the required parameters, but it has lower base damage and lower scaling than the club. But you see that 300 down the bottom left, that is bleed. So this, if you hit something enough with this weapon, it will take a chunk of extra damage in bleed damage. You can see it's just a mace of sorts. You can see it's quite a slow swinging weapon compared to the club, which actually that swing's probably about the same. But these are quite somewhat slow swinging weapons almost. Not as much as some of the heavy weapons in the game, but compared to some swords and stuff, these swing quite slowly and have quite a short reach. That's pretty much in exchange for their high damage. As far as I'm aware, obviously I'm not going to profess to be know everything about this game, but otherwise we have Homeward Bones in here, and Homeward Bones can be used to return to the last bonfire that you rested at without costing anything. And what else did we get? We also got the talisman, I believe. Talisman here. Talismans are basically used to cast miracles. But we don't have any miracles, so we don't really have any use for that right now, so we won't equip it. And Lloyd's talismans. Lloyd's talismans, I don't know if it's wrong of me to do so, but I never use them. And you can see skeletons starting to gang up on us, so I'm running away. Because I do not want to fight them. So it's going to run back here, rest at the bonfire, and that resets the skeletons. So then we pretty much got all those items we want. Lloyd talismans I don't really ever use, but they stop things from using healing. I think I don't know if it's healing or just Estus flasks. It just prevents Estus recovery within a limited area where you throw it. But otherwise, there's another NPC here we can talk to.
Well, what do we have here? You must be a new arrival. Let me guess. Fate of the undead, right? Well, you're not the first. But there's no salvation here. You'd have done better to rot in the undead asylum. But too late now. Well, since you're here, let me help you out. There are actually 2 bells of awakening. One's up above in the undead church. The other is far, far below, in the ruins at the base of Blight Town. Ring them both, and something happens. Brilliant, right? Not much to go on, but I have a feeling that won't stop you. So, off you go. It is why you came, isn't it? To this accursed land of the undead?
So he's basically just told us that our objectives, there's 2 of them. There's one that's up and one that's down. And it's also his dialogue
Your
is...
face. You're practically hollow. But who knows? Going hollow could solve quite a bit.
Okay.
What? Restoring your humanity? Well, there are a few ways to go about it. Collect it bit by bit from corpses. Or you can butter up a cleric and get yourself summoned. And the quickest way, although I'd never do it, is to kill a healthy undead and pillage its humanity. Coveting thy neighbor is only human, after all.
So what he's basically told us there is that slowly, bit by bit, killing undead will eventually give us humanity, and that you can also kill it by killing healthy undead, which for example are these guys that look regular human, unlike us that are definitely hollowed. We're not insane in terms of being hollow, depending on your perspective. I mean, we're just going around beating people up. But at this point in time, we're pretty much just... He's giving us basically short amounts of information on kind of what our objectives are and how to go about the game.
What are you looking at? Don't try anything clever. You might regret it.
And a warning. But other than that, what we're going to do is head on to the early parts of the game and head up these stairs. So we got our first proper enemies here. You always want to be careful about enemies because there'll be lots around, and if you can leash like one at a time, it makes things a lot easier for you. And that's the backstab. So if you manage to get behind an enemy and stop using any of the like moving buttons and just press your basic attack button, you'll get a backstab which does a lot of damage. So next we kind of lure this guy up here. So you want to be careful about how far forward you go at one time because you'll end up leashing too many than you can handle. So he's blocking with a shield. So we're taking the opportunity to strike him when he's kind of recoiling from his own attacks. Let's lure this guy over. And we'll now have the guy up there throwing firebombs at us, which is not pleasant. So you want to probably avoid that if at all possible. Just lure this guy back so you're out with the firebomb range. And then just... I kind of know what I'm doing, but in general, you probably want to try and take your time with this, and be a bit more careful, learn their patterns, learn the timings, and get yourself sorted that way. I'm going to run up here, lure this guy, and we just took 5 bombs to the face, and almost drop down. Okay, this is interesting. But just lure this guy back, outside of the firebombs again. Don't want to deal with the firebombs at the same time. And just beat this guy up. Now we can head up properly. We'll wait a bit outside of the range. And then run up. And I'll deal with the final guy. He's going to fall down. And now this guy's here. But he's on his own, so he's easy to deal with. And that's it. So we've got an item here that we can now get to without being interrupted. And you see now, when we started the game, we have 5 Estus flasks. Now we have 10. That's because of Firelink Shrine. It has a Firekeeper, as we saw down there. Any bonfire that has a Firekeeper will automatically give you 10 Estus rather than 5. But another thing we want to probably get, we don't need to get it right now, it's not really a useful item, but it's over here anyway. If you run and jump over here, and do some wall hugging, you can get to this item, and this is a Ring of Sacrifice, so we'll have a look at this. Lose nothing upon death, but ring breaks. So it's a mystical ring created in a sacrificial rite of Velka, the goddess of sin. It's a wearer will lose nothing upon death, but the ring itself breaks. So the one thing about this game is the death penalty. What you do is, if you're human, which I'll be showing you at some point in the future. I don't want to become human now, but I will eventually. When you're human, you will become hollowed and become like this again. And what you also do is lose any of your currently acquired souls, which is that number in the bottom right. Anything that you use for leveling up and all that sort of thing, that will be kept. And any items you've collected will also be kept, but you will lose the souls, and they'll become basically a death point for you, a marker. If you can return to that marker without dying, you will regain what you lost, apart from the humanity. But if you die before recovering and retrieving what you have, you will not get it back. It will disappear, so you won't be able to obtain it again, and say you can lose like, you know, thousands of souls at a time, and that can be really, really damaging because you have to essentially grind to get it back up to what it was. So we're going to head up here. I'm just going to heal quickly, just because we're at half health. And so we go up here, and we've got some enemies. Again, just being careful about where we walk, trying and unleashing only one at a time. We got two, and we damaged him there, which interrupted his attack, which was fortunate. And we got back there. So there's a couple of enemies up here. There's one thing where there's some barrels, and somewhere to drop down there, which is nice, and an item. But we'll deal with these guys first. He's going to throw fire bombs at us. Oh, I walked into that. Don't want to deal with that. And then back away from him, and take him out. And we're good. So this, those items, roll through stuff, break through, just because we can. Sometimes there's items hidden in or behind stuff like this. So it's always good to kind of check around. These stairs we cannot get up, so that's one thing. And let's see what's we don't know what's behind that fog wall. So let's see what's about down here. So we can drop down here, get a large soul of lost undead, and look, there's another item over there. But you can see from here, there's enemies hanging on the sides. So again, this is if you are observant about the game, you can see what's coming. And I think actually down there is that. Down there is actually somewhere that we'll end up going much, much later. But for now, we can just drop down here and drop down here. You see an enemy was just up there, so he's probably going to be coming for us. There's something here. An item. Soul of a lost undead. More free souls. This is blocked off. And there's nothing here either. So we can mosey on through here. Oh, there's a guy. And these guys actually have weapons as well, so they're going to be a bit annoying and do some damage if they hit us. But again, they're weak and die with one hit. You just want to be careful. If they overrun you and swarm you, they're probably going to kill you. So you might want to be a bit more careful about that, otherwise they're not that much of a threat. What's out here? Oh look, there's these guys, and the amusing thing you can do here is hit them and they fall. Hit them and they fall. Now these guys are coming up, but again they die in one hit because we've got a decent weapon now, which is nice, and we can pick them right in here. Rubbish. What is this? What is this rubbish? Let's look at inventory, that's probably the best way to go about it. Rubbish has no value. Rubbish with no value. Who in their right mind would bother carrying this around? Perhaps you need help. See, this game has a very twisted sense of humour. The rubbish does actually do something. I've never really done it with it. I'm not really sure how it works. I'll probably have to look it up to show you. And we've got humanity here from this corpse. And then up here. And we're back to where we were. So again, there's little things you can drop down, get an item, drop down again, and then wander it around and get back to where you were before. But for example, for the the twisted humor sort of thing, one of the items in the early game. Who is making that noise? Oh, it's him. Okay. Don't know where he came from. But one of the items that you can get at the beginning of the game, it's like a medallion or talisman or something. It's just a trinket and it has no value. That is completely true. It has no value. It doesn't do anything. Hello. I see you have a death wish. But it makes you think that the game, it probably has value, but like something much later in the game that it's like saying, oh, it doesn't really do anything, it's fine. But you think that it actually does, and you pick it thinking this will probably be useful later. It doesn't. It literally has no function in the game at all. So it's like almost like a double bluff in that way. We can run through this fog wall now. You see, it's not a boss fight. Got an item, lost undead soul, more free souls, and we can head up here. Got some stairs, and over here. So we can try and make this jump. I never seem to be able to. As I said, my Dark Souls parkour is awful. I can never seem to make this jump. So I'll try a couple of times, but otherwise I'm not going to bother. I'm not even sure what's actually over there, but normally if there's an area like this, there's something. But I'm not even going to try anymore after that. I'm just that's 3 jumps failed, so I'm not going to waste my time here anymore. I'm going to head up here. Foreshadowing. Okay, so now we can head up through this way a bit more. As you see, we've got a lot of enemies we can see from here. But again, what we can do is be a bit careful about how we move. And just leash one at a time. So we've got the guy up there with the crossbow firing at us now. But he can't hit us from here. Which means that we can deal with this guy. And then we can head up a bit more. And we've leashed that guy, so now that's good. We can pull him down here. So he's now going to come fight us. I hope. Yeah, there he is. And then we can pull this guy. I hope. And again, avoiding the crossbow, because that's just unnecessarily complicating how we have to fight this guy. I'll hit him a couple of times. And he's dead. And now we can run through. Straight up here. Turn around. And whack this guy a couple of times. He's got some armor on, so he's a bit more tough to kill. And we've got that dealt with. There was a door down here, so we can have a look and see. Oh, an item, a wooden shield. So let's have a look at that wooden shield, shall we? Toggle display. So as you can see, when these numbers here are blue, it means that they are it means that they are better than what you currently have equipped. So this thing has much better, pretty much everything except magic, which is the same in terms of defense. It's also the same weight and has a higher durability. So this is just generally this wooden shield is going to be much better for us than the plank shield right now. So we will equip that. And it's also nice, and it's bigger and it has a dragon on it, so that's cool. But so just constantly, whenever you pick up equipment, just be constantly aware of what you're doing and what items you kind of want equipped. And now we have our next bonfire. So I'm going to rest at this. As you see, when you rest at the bonfire, the enemies will respawn. But for now, I'm not going to level up because there's something that we want to do. And this is important, so make sure that when you come here for the first time, don't level up. But otherwise, I think we will take that as the end of this episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.